Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are around the world, and welcome back to Sideboard Files. My name is Manuel, I'm your host here as usual. This time we talk again about Moderate Prowess, and I have the pleasure to have here, once again, the one and only Alex Dukic.
Hello there.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely a pleasure. Shall we go on with the pleasantries for like 20 minutes or something?
Sure, why not? Nothing else to do.
Let's talk about Moderate Prowess instead. I mean, second video about it, we did a video, was it like a few weeks ago, I think so. But a few things changed, maybe local meta, maybe the stuff going on, big events. So time to refresh a list a little bit and talk about matchups we didn't discuss in the first video. So yeah, excellent stuff. And the first thing, before talking about the matchups, let's have a look at the list. Because as we said, there are a few changes. So tell me a little bit about it, and especially in the main deck, because I see actually a few additions, a few changes there.
A few small changes. Yeah, so instead of the 4 Firebolts, we have the 2 Burst Lightnings and the 2 Warlord's Fury. So the reason being, for me playing Burst Lightnings is I like the instant speed in this one, because I like to have these moments where I just leave the mana open and force the opponent to do the action, to initiate something, to play creatures, and then end of turn I bolt them, Burst Lightning them. Both spells are appealing in their own way. I could see the reason people playing Firebolt over Burst Lightning because of the Flashback clause and the deck's nature to pitch its hand for some value. So both cards are fine totally. That's just a personal preference for me in this case, to play Burst Lightnings over the Firebolts.
All right. Is this something you're trying out, or is this something you're going to stick for a while? Is it like
I'm gonna stick for
dictated?
a while.
Okay.
Yeah, so Burst Lightnings, it's been proven that it's totally fine in this deck, so I'm going to stick to this one for now.
All right. The other addition that I see is Warlord's Fury. So tell me a bit about this card.
Yes, the Warlord's Fury. I really like this card, so I would like to have some more cantrip cards in the deck, and the next best one besides Crash Through is Warlord's Fury in this case. It's there to, as I said, dig through the deck faster, to fill in the graveyard, to defeat the Battling Reveler, and it also synergizes like Crash Through with the Killing Fiend. And this reminds me of the list from Ryan Overturf, where he plays a full playset of Warlord's Fury, but the reason being is he's playing a full playset of Battling Reveler, which makes sense, but I'm still in the Killing Fiend plan, so I just stick to 2 for now. I'm gonna try it out, but I think it's totally fine, so I'm gonna also stick to it for now.
Okay. So at the moment, this is the configuration you want to go for.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. Shall we talk about the sideboard?
Let's go.
The juicy part of the
juicy
show.
part.
Yeah. Okay. So what you have here, 3 Upgrade, 3 Dragon's Claw, 2 Alpine Moon, 2 Dismember, 2 Surgical Extraction, 1 Blood Moon, 1 Kozilek's Return, and 1 Shenanigans. So we have like the staples, Upgrade, Dragon's Claw, always there. But there are quite a few changes. So why did you go for this configuration? Why are you actually going for this configuration now?
So this is for the competitive meta, because as you can see, I don't have any copies of Seasoned Pyromancer or Shrine of Burning Rage in this sideboard, because those cards were specifically for matchups like Blue-Red Control and John Midrange. But these decks got kind of pushed back by decks like Eldrazi Tron, which is back again, and Simic or Sultai Urza. So this sideboard is specifically designed for those kind of matchups, for this kind of meta, for this kind of competitive meta with Amulet Titan, Urza, and Eldrazi Tron again.
Did you see this change in your local meta as well? You have like more, you expect more of these decks like Eldrazi Tron, big mana decks.
Yeah, the last big tournament in my local store, there were a few more Eldrazi Tron decks than before, so it kind of slowly adapts to the local meta as well.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, like getting 2 birds with 1 stone here, like competitive, I mean like GPs or big events, and also your local meta at the store, which is pretty competitive, I understand.
Yeah, it became quite competitive at the time.
Fierce competition in there.
Yes.
All right, very good. Anything else you would like to add about the sideboard?
So we have a few one-offs. For example, Kozilek's Return. I still like to have one of those kind of effects to fight Auric Champion and Cold Firewalker if needed. So I like the one-off Kozilek's Return in this case. And the one Blood Moon. Blood Moon isn't a card I usually play in a sideboard or at all, but right now Amulet Titan is popular again. So this card is there to fight those kind of decks, and also big mana decks are coming back. Mono Green Tron and Valak decks. So Blood Moon is there to fight those kind of decks. And one copy of Shenanigans to represent the fourth card to fight Artifact Hate in form of Chalice of the Void, and also the Versa decks, which are currently running around.
Sure. Chalice of the Void kills moderate prowess more or less.
yes.
Like 90% of the deck, you want to have an answer that is also recursive. You can get it again to the point that you're sure that there is no Chalice in play. Absolutely, totally
Exactly. So synergizes also pretty well with Battle Reveler in case you discard it because you don't need it, and then you can return it back at some point you need it.
Very well. Let's talk about some matchups. And the first one I'd like to discuss is Amulet Titan, because we were talking about big mana decks. And here is the first one. So, good matchup or bad matchup overall?
I would say it's favorable. We're both fast decks, but they don't have many answers to us. So I think it's marginally favorable for us.
Okay, strategy-wise, what you want to do in the games post-sideboard?
Race them pretty much.
Okay,
pretty much race them.
Close the game as fast as possible.
Hopefully they don't have any life gain or don't drop a Titan turn 3 and get some life gain.
Yeah, speaking about life gain or other stuff that could actually side against you, what cards do you have to watch out for?
Engineered Explosives on one, and also I think the 1 or 2 of Blast Zone, which they could have. So those cards are the cards to watch out for. They could be having Dismember, but it's hard to play around that. But yeah, the Explosives and the Blast Zone, definitely.
When you were mentioning life gain, did you have something specific in mind?
The card Radiant Fountain.
Okay.
Which gains themselves 2 life. Points.
Okay, sure. Gaining 2 life better than nothing, especially if you can do certain tricks and bounce it and get life back all the time. Yeah,
it can be quite annoying and screw up the math.
Yeah, it can be annoying, absolutely. All right, let's go in details here with the cyber plans. So what you bought out and why? And what you bought in and why, sorry.
I bought in 3 copies of Abrade and 1 copy of Blood Moon. Blood Moon, as already explained, is pretty good against this deck because they're so dependent on the mana base. And they have so many non-basic cards. So if you have a Blood Moon on the battlefield, they pretty much can't do anything. The only answer is perhaps the Engineered Explosives, which they have to put on the battlefield for free. So for free counters, not for free.
Yeah, sure.
So that's a good way to attack them. And the 3 copies of Abrade, which is there to fight the Amulet of Vigor and pretty much all the creatures.
Yeah, so answers to what they have. Yeah, making sure you destroy, you deal with the creatures and Amulet of Vigor, totally understandable. And what goes out?
What goes out are 4 copies of Light of the Sage. I think this card is pretty slow in this matchup because it's a very tight race. And I would like to keep the Lava Spikes in there to help me race this matchup. So those 4 copies go out to make some room for the more interactive cards.
Okay, perfect. Anything else you would like to add about this matchup? Or shall we just go for the next one?
No, just to mention that the Titan isn't automatically loose. You can still bolt it or braid it down or shrink it, and because they're relying on the Titan resolving and attacking to win, and it's not always lethal when they attack with the Titan with the Titan on the same turn, because it's usually I think 16 powers. If they have the combo going, so that's not lethal immediately. So you still have a turn time to hopefully seal the deal.
Okay, so keeping in mind that you have still an out if Titan hits the battlefield. And as you said, you can also shrink it because if you have a Soulscar Mage into play, you can just use burn spells and put -1/-1 counters. So it's a threat that in the end you can manage. Yes. I mean, it's not like the ideal situation, but yeah, it's not over yet. It's not game over yet.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, next matchup. We have Crabvine. I hear echoes of Hogak in here. I mean, the card is not legal anymore, but this archetype somehow survived and it's still around. So definitely worth mentioning it. And first question, as usual, good matchup or bad matchup for you?
So Hogak before was kind of an even matchup depending on who's on the play, who's on a draw. I think right now it's slightly better because they don't have Hogak anymore, but it's still not to be underestimated. It's still really, really fast because they have spells that let them see like 10 cards in the first 2 turns, and to fill in the graveyard of cards like Creeping Chill, Vengevines, all those cards which have some which get some value when being in the graveyard. So this is pretty much Dredge on steroids. Not here to do some sweet things like grind it out. They just want to be fast as possible.
Yeah, all about speed. What's your strategy in the game's post sideboard?
It's also race. And that's pretty much it. And perhaps, hopefully, interrupt them with the 2 sideboard cards we bring in here.
Sure, you want to interact with their graveyard. I mean, you want to take care of
Exactly, yes.
the key cards.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay, any cards you should watch out for? Something that could side against you?
Yes, so they have Fatal Push on the sideboard, Assassin's Trophy, and even Damping Sphere, which can be quite annoying. So these are the cards to watch out for. I mean, you can't really play around Assassin's Trophy, but yeah, Damping Sphere can be quite annoying, and also Fatal Push.
Okay, so those cards, you have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
All right. Sideboard plans, in detail. What goes out and what goes in?
So what goes out 1 copy of Battling Reveler and 1 copy of Kiln Fiend. So I'm boarding out 1 Kiln Fiend because, as I mentioned, they're bringing in a lot of kill spells. And also I would like to cut at least 1 like late game creature in form of Battling Reveler because we need to be fast as well, and to make some room for the two sideboard cards we sideboard in.
Yeah, which are Surgical
Surgical
Extraction.
Extraction, yes.
I mean, very effective graveyard hate, absolutely, to hit the key cards.
Yes.
So when you play Surgical, ideally, what do you want to hit?
Ideally, we wait for the Vengevines
Okay.
to trigger. Other than that, you can even target Creeping Chill or Necromoeba or Price Amalgam, but the ideal target would be Vengevine.
Yeah, okay. Anything else you would like to add about this matchup?
Nothing particular, no.
Okay, so we just go for the next one.
Yes.
And the next one is Eldrazi Tron, as you said, is coming back. Powerful,
Yeah.
big Eldrazi creatures, annoying stuff, Chalice of the Void.
Yeah, Chalice of the Void is good again, especially on 0 to fight all those Ursa decks, paradoxical Ursa decks. So that's why Eldrazi Tron is back on the menu.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Good matchup or bad matchup for you?
It's good when they don't have Chalice of the Void. It's bad if they have Chalice of the Void.
Sure. But you can back some answers for it post sideboard, I mean, that's for sure.
I mean, Chalice of the Void is the only interruptive spell they have against us. So if they don't have it, I think it's fairly good for us.
Okay, excellent. What's your approach in the game's post sideboard?
Post sideboard, it's not really a race because it can get quite grindy. But yeah, just try to find some answers against Chalice of the Void in case they have it. Maybe even disrupt them by destroying their Mind Stone to slow them down. Otherwise, you just play your creatures and try to win this one.
All right, so answers to their threats, basically. This is
Exactly, yes.
Are you a little bit more controllish because you're taking it slower, like a slower pace?
It can get quite controllish because I brought in a few interactive spells as well. So these can be used against Fallout Seer, against Reality Smasher, and that can change how the game goes, how the combat goes, and it can become both types of game. Yeah, either me being on the controlling side or being on the proactive side. If they don't have the Chalice and I have room to just unload my spells and attack them and make them do the move.
Okay. So if you have like windows of opportunity or if you have a very fast start and there is no Chalice on the Void into play, you can just go with your game plan and just try to close the game as fast as possible. But if you are in another situation that gets more like dealing with the permanents on the battlefield and get a little bit more controlish.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's important to understand actually which role you have to assume depending on how the matchup is actually, the game is actually developing, right?
Yes,
Okay, so
absolutely.
that's key. Okay, excellent. Apart Chalice of the Void, any other card you should watch out for?
Spatial Contortion, I think, is the only interactive card to bring in. Otherwise, there's no specific hate cards that are annoying in this matchup.
Okay, then Cyber Plans. What goes out and what goes in?
So what goes out are 4 copies of Lava Spike and 2 copies of Burst Lightning. So because I said this matchup can get quite grindy, the lava spikes don't help in this kind of scenario. So we want to keep the light up the stage in there, and the burst lightnings also don't do much in this matchup, especially when Chalice is out. So I board those out. The worst spells, I would say.
Yeah,
in this matchup.
okay, totally understandable. And what comes in?
What comes in are 3 copies of Abrade, 2 copies of Dismember, and 1 copy of Shenanigans. So Abrades, the Abrades fight the Chalices, the Mind Stones, and the Dismember is there to destroy pretty much all the Eldrazi they're playing. And the 1 copy of Shenanigans is also there to support the strategy against Chalice of the Void.
Sure.
And it's a repeatable. It can happen that they have a follow-up Chalice, and when you have Shenanigans, you can just stretch it back and then play it again. And be safe, I would say.
Absolutely. That situation we actually described a little bit before when we were talking about the sideboard.
Yeah.
This recursive asset that you can have, and even if they have like a second Chalice right after you destroy the first one with Shenanigans, you can deal with it, and you make sure that actually you can play your deck, you can play Magic against them. Because otherwise you are totally locked out of the game.
Yeah, Shenanigans gets you in this safe spot where you can also always recur it when you need it to destroy another Chalice or maybe even a Mind Stone to screw them up. That's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, question here. I see that there are no Alpine Moons in your cyber plan against Eldrazi Tron. And I would like to ask you why.
So Alpine Moons, even if it first sounds pretty appealing against Eldrazi Tron because they have so many non-basics and some cards that can produce more mana like Eldrazi Tron and the Tron lands, Eldrazi Temple, and the Tron lands themselves. But it's still a deck which can play fine with 5 lands on the battlefield and then playing Reality Smasher on curve. So Alpine Moon doesn't actually help in this kind of scenario, in this kind of matchup. And also it gets shut down by Chalice, so if they have Chalice, you can even play the Alpine Moon. Or sometimes you play the Alpine Moon, shut down their Eldrazi Temple, and they just need another turn to deploy their Fallout Zero or Reality Smasher, so it doesn't help much in this matchup. So I think it's a waste. It would be a waste of main deck slot in this matchup.
Yeah, you could end up with your Alpine Moons, maybe 1 or even 2 copies stranded in your hand because you can't play them because of Chalice of the Void. Yeah, and this is a scenario which you don't want to be, absolutely. You have to avoid that situation, so totally understandable.
I think it's similar to Amulet Titan because you could also put out the argument that Alpine Moon is good against the Blast Zone from Amulet Titan, but other than that, that's pretty much it, and it's not worth it to put in this type of cards to just help against this specific card because it doesn't actually progress our game plan, doesn't really slow them down by a whole lot, and
avoiding like specific situations. There are cards that are working well in specific situations, but in any other situation are not really helping you out. Very much. So totally understand your point. Anything else you would like to add about the matchup?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, very good. So then we go for the next one and last one for this episode. And we are talking about Grixis Death Shadow, because this is not the deck that is coming back. Actually, in several variants, but we stick to Grixis at the moment. And maybe we can talk about Mardu or even Jund in another video. Because we're going to keep on doing videos about Mono Red Prowess. We like it too much, right?
Of course.
Okay, then Grixis Death Shadow. Good matchup or bad matchup for you?
So my experience so far were kind of bad from my side. Grixis Death Shadow is a tough matchup because you can't really navigate the match because when you can put on some pressure early, but then at some point you're rather helping them play the Death Shadow, and so you're kind of forced to load in your spells to fill in your hand with all those burn spells and wait for the right moment to unload those. But it's kind of tough because they have access to Team of Battle Rage. They can navigate how much life they want to lose, and then kill you in one burst of damage with Team of Battle Rage.
Yeah, like a big swing, and it's just lethal, and you lose the match.
Rather than in chunks with like Junt does.
Yeah. You mentioned Team of Battle Rage. Any other cards you have to watch out for?
A lot of removal, Collegan's Command, Stubborn Denial, and Fatal Pushes. So that's so Stubborn Denial is definitely a card to watch out for. That can be quite complicated, the math behind it. Where you want to resolve a spell, and then you see like 2/2 Death Shadow. You have to keep in mind they might have a Street Wave, Wraith that can turn on Ferocious on Stubborn Denial, so you gotta be aware of that.
Yeah, very important. Absolutely, they can do it at instant speed.
Yes.
So they can answer whatever you're doing, and they get Ferocious, and then it's a hard counter hitting your spell.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally understood. Anything else, or shall we go for the cyber plans and in details with what you side out, what you side in?
We shall go for the set plans.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's go for it. Actually, I had another question about the strategy. Since putting them low in life is somehow helping them, you have to prepare yourself for just one lethal attack. Is this the way you actually win the matchup, or you want to burn them out and use your creatures as chump blockers? If like that shadow is already onto the battlefield, how do you approach this matchup from this point of view? How do you set up your winning swing, let's say?
Yeah, those two are viable options. You can either put on some pressure with the creatures and burn spells, but as long as you have some spells as a backup to finish them when they get low enough, I think that's totally fine. Also, you can use the creatures, of course, to jump block because they have Gomrak Anglers, they have Death Shadows. It's hard to go through with the creatures. Because Death Shadow is usually larger than your Monastery Swift Sphere or Soulscar Mage. So it's also kind of a valid strategy to just use the creatures as jump blockers or the Soulscar Mage as a way to shrink down the creatures and just hope they don't have a Team of Battle Rage. Or in case they have a Team of Battle Rage and go for lethal, perhaps you have a few Lightning Bolts, Lava Darts in hand, and then you can, in response, kill them. So you got to be aware of all those things.
Sure.
And that's a tough part in this matchup.
Yeah,
for sure.
understanding what's going on and try to grab this window of opportunity that your opponent might give you.
So
and it's not easy, yeah?
Yeah, so you got to be also aware about your own life totals, because that can help how the game pretty much goes. Because when you're at 10, it's they don't need to go to 2 life or 3 life to kill you with a Team of Battle Rage. So you got to be aware of that as well.
Okay, let's talk about the cyber plans now. So what goes out and what goes in?
So what goes out are 2 Burst Lightnings. I'll also say that they're the worst spells in this matchup. Lava Spike does 3, so we want to keep the Lava Spikes in there. This matchup can also get quite grindy, so we also keep the Light Up the Stages and the Battle Revelers. So yeah, that's why the Burst Lightnings go out.
All right, and we have 2 cards coming in then.
The 2 Dismembers. As a better way to interact with creatures, it kills. It always kills the Gomrak Angler. It can kill a Death Shadow, or it can shrink it at least. So Dismember is a good way to actually interact with the creatures.
So in such situation, actually, the Dismember is not going to deal with that shadow entirely, but at least mitigates the damage in that turn when they're attacking or whatever, and it buys you some time.
Yeah, exactly, yes. It doesn't necessarily kill a Death Shadow, but it can screw up their math, and you can even add some more burn spells to that to finish off the Death Shadow, rather than use those burn spells to hopefully find a chance to finish off your opponent. Sometimes killing off a Death Shadow, if they don't have a backup Death Shadow, it can also win you the game, because when you untap and have a few creatures on the board, you can maybe finish the game off this way.
Yeah. Dismember and Soulscar Mage. I mean, Dismember doesn't give any counters, but if you have like a burn spell and Soulscar Mage on the battlefield, you can add extra -1/-1 counters.
Exactly,
So
yes.
this could be a way actually to deal with Death Shadow in extreme situations because we need to survive, right?
To shrink it even more, yes.
Yeah. But it's important to know that Dismember doesn't actually put counters, so it's not the same as Soulscar Mage.
Exactly, yes.
All right. Any other thing you would like to add about this matchup? Because it's a tricky one, so there are no situations.
It is a very tricky one.
Yeah.
I would even say go far and say, for me at least, it's the hardest matchup. Even Mardu Shadow can be tough. I mean, all the Shadow variants, Jund Shadow, I think they're all tough in their own way. Of course, Mardu Shadow doesn't play Stubborn Denial, but they play Hex Parasite, which can also quite complicate the math. So yeah, it's a tough matchup.
Yeah. Okay. Very tough, and you have to be aware of several things. Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. So that was the last one for this episode. So we reached the end. Thank you very much, Alex, for joining me here once again.
Dankeschön, Manuel.
No problem, man. Absolutely a pleasure. And a big thank you to all of you for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you want to follow us on social media, you find all the information you need in the description of this video. What you can also do is subscribe to the channel and share this video, Twitter, Facebook, any other platform of your choice. It would be, first, extremely appreciated, and second, it would help us to keep on doing what we do. All right, everybody. Have a great time casting your favorite spells, and for now, it's goodbye.